Hey guys, so Kevin Smith has finally released the second half, or the next chapter, I should say, of his Masters of the Universe saga. I had filmed a video review of an E-Rant of the first chapter that he did, Masters of the Universe Revelations, but I decided against it. I felt there was just too much toxicity around that. Um, and I wasn't planning on doing a video for this one, but it came out and it had the complete opposite reaction from the fan base, which was insane. So before I dive into that, here's a few little facts about myself. Masters of the Universe, He-Man was the first franchise that I was ever into. I don't remember a time when I didn't like He-Man, when I didn't like Masters of the Universe. It was just the first thing that I was passionate about, where I watched the cartoon every week. I collected all the action figures. I wanted to be He-Man for Halloween, the whole nine yards. In fact, when I was a kid and I saw Ghostbusters 2 and Ray and Winston are performing at a birthday party because they're so strapped for cash, and the kids are chanting, wanting He Man, um, at the time, as a kid, I felt that those chants were justified because He Man was so popular. And I felt that He Man was more popular than the Ghostbusters, at least. Uh, Now, of course, I've grown up and I don't feel that way, but that's how big the franchise was, and that's how much I loved it. Furthermore, Masters of the Universe, the original Masters of the Universe film starring Dolph Lundgren, was the first movie that I ever saw in theaters, and it was the movie that started my love for movies and filmmaking, that put me on my path to studying it and pursuing it and wanting to make movies. So it's a franchise that I've known all my life. It's a franchise that I hold very dear, and it's a franchise that I feel that I know very, 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 very well, thoroughly. I will say that I didn't make a conscious decision as a kid to be a Masters of the Universe fan. It was just something that was so popular and it was so big and it was so strongly aimed at young boys that I felt like I had to be into it. Now I have legitimate fandom towards it, but back then I felt like, okay, I'm a boy, it's the 80s, this is what I'm supposed to like. This is the show I'm supposed to watch. These are the toys I'm supposed to play with. It wasn't until I turned 7 that I, developed my own consciousness, my own uh, state of mind, my ability to make my own choices. And then I made my first choice as to what I chose to like and support. And of course, as most of you know, those first choices were Ninja Turtles and DC Comics. But before that, there was He Man. And again, I don't remember a time when I didn't like it. So, um, always been an avid supporter. Supported that horrible cartoon they came out with, that horrible reboot they came out with in the 90s. I watched the 2003 show, which I enjoyed very much. And I was most definitely going to watch this show because it's not only something that I treasure from my childhood, but the fact that Kevin Smith, one of my all time favorite directors, one of my all time favorite creators, was the person behind it meant that I had to watch this. I didn't have any more incentives to want to watch it. So, of course, I checked it out. In full disclosure, I liked Masters of the Universe Revelations. And I then was just stunned by the adverse, angry, volatile, belligerent reaction that first chapter had. Just blown away. And so much so that, like I said, it made me feel like, you know what, I don't want to add to the noise. The people who want to defend it are already defending it. I just don't want to add to the noise and potentially give these angry people ammunition that I don't want to give them, be it by accident or design. But I enjoyed it. Like I said, I know the franchise well. I know what it's supposed to be. I know that the original cartoon was repetitive. It was formulaic. It was episodic. You know, every episode would start, there would be a conflict. He-Man would resolve it with his muscles, and then by the end of it, everything would go back to the status quo. In Revelations, Kevin Smith immediately out of the gate starts making bold choices, starts making changes, throwing in monkey wrench after monkey wrench into the He-Man machinery, and to the point that it becomes so broken that you know that even after they put it all back together, which they will, because that's the way most stories work, even after they put it all back together again, it's not going to be the same. And I respected the hell out of that. My only little complaint, my only little itty bitty little issue that I have with it, and it's so small, it's kind of easy to ignore, is the implication is heavily implied that Evil Lyn and Skeletor had a sexual relationship. I don't think that was necessary. I think at times people believe in one another blindly without the need of romance or sex or anything like that. And that's the way I've always viewed Evil Lyn. But that was it. That's my only issue with it. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't dislike Masters of the Universe Revelations. If you want to dislike it, by all means, dislike it. We all have different tastes. However, I believe that you can voice that dislike without being toxic and rude. So I implore you that if you're going to share your opinion on that first chapter in the comment section below, yes, do so, but please do so with the utmost care and the utmost respect. There's no need for racism, sexism, homophobia. There's no need for any of that stuff, all right? If you're going to type something into the comment section and you stop and you think, is this racist? Is this sexist? Is this homophobic? It is. So don't type that, okay? If you have to think about it, it is, all right? So don't say it, all right? You can say, I didn't like this for this reason, and not be a horrible person like the horrible people that were outright sending death threats to Kevin Smith and his family because he took liberties with a franchise that was handed to him on a platter by the people who own it. The people who own it said, here, make this into a cartoon and do it your way. And they didn't put a lot of restrictions on him, as he has revealed. And if you're a bigger fan of the 80s version or the 90s version or the 2003 version, those versions still exist, guys. They didn't disappear just because Kevin Smith did his own version. Anyway, so those are my 2 cents on Revelations. Let's talk about Revolution, which immediately got this ridiculous positive response. And I enjoyed it too. However, I feel like it's very much a remake of the 2003 He-Man, but with some plot elements from Revelations and a little bit of the Kevin Smith flavor, but is So if you like the 2003 version, you'll really like this version, and that's as much as I enjoyed it, and as much as I agree that it deserves everybody's praise. I just think it's funny that you know he took some chances and did some new interesting things with the franchise last time. This time, he just gives you more of what we already have, and people are like, "Oh, this is amazing! He's a genius." Yes, Kevin Smith is amazing. Yes, he's a genius, but um, I'm more impressed when he does something different with the material that he's given, and he's bold and he takes chances with the characters as opposed to um, repeating what we already have or treading over territory that has already been walked upon. The only two big changes that he threw in, of course, are Skeletor turning out to be He-Man's uncle, which is interesting, very Shakespearean, and of course, finally, Adam getting together with Leela. Not Leela, I'm sorry, that's Futurama and Doctor Who. Tila, who was now voiced by Melissa Benoist. In the previous one, she was voiced by Sarah Michelle Gellar. I love Sarah Michelle Gellar with all my heart, as most of you know. Which bothered me, but she had better chemistry with Adam, if you know what I'm talking about. But both are fine. Both did a great job. I have a more, I have a stronger loyalty towards Sarah Michelle Gellar, so I was disappointed that she didn't come back, but I'm sure there are good reasons. And Melissa Benoist didn't do a bad job. Anyway, and the last bit of casting that I want to comment on that was superb was he casted Mark Hamill as Skeletor and William Shatner as Killjoy, who Skeletor used to be before his head got melted and he looks like he ended up with a skull for a head. To have the two biggest sci-fi icons of all time voicing the same character on the same show, two alter egos, and with William Shatner basically playing the other devil on Skeletor's shoulder, because he doesn't have an angel and a devil, he has two devils, but he has the other devil, the one that's really bad, whispering wrongdoings in Skeletor's ear hole because he doesn't have ears. That was superb. That was brilliant stroke of casting and writing and everything. Again, overall, all the praise in the world to Kevin Smith, because I so far have enjoyed the whole thing. Now, it has been heavily teased that there will be a third chapter, that he will do a third and final part to his Masters of the Universe saga. And it's heavily implied that the big bad for this next chapter will be Adora, who, for those of you who don't know, is She-Ra, who Hordak kidnapped when she was a baby. Her and Adam were twins, and then Hordak and Skeletor like broke into the palace and attacked Randor and Adam. Adam when he was a baby, and of course they were thwarted, but Hordak got away with one of Randor's babies, which is Adora. So that is heavily teased, and it looks like it's gonna happen. I know there's some question about the rights and who has the rights and who doesn't and all that. Well, generally speaking, if a company holds the rights to a character for an adaptation, they usually only last for between 6 to 7 years. So if they don't do anything with She-Ra, I think DreamWorks was the one that put out the She-Ra cartoon, which was amazing. If they don't do anything with Adora for another, I think, 3 more years, they should be fine. So if they just wait to release the next chapter for about 3 years, I think they're okay. And I think it might even be less. So yeah, I think it's very possible and even more exciting to have He-Man go up against somebody of his same power level. That's going to be awesome. And to see Kevin's interpretation of She-Ra, that's so exciting. And we haven't seen He-Man and She-Ra together in anything since the 80s, possibly early 90s. So I can't wait to see that. Anyway, so those are my thoughts on Kevin Smith's Masters of the Universe saga, at least chapters 1 and 2. Agree, disagree, feel to say so in the comment section below. But as per usual, be respectful, like I said earlier in the video. I'm not going to repeat that whole spiel again, I promise. Now, a little bit of housekeeping before I close this out. I know you're sick of hearing me say this, but I have to because it's my job now. My book is out. Cassandra Killjoy, Paranormal Private Eye, The Search for the Swordsman, the first in what will hopefully be a 10-part book series, maybe longer, who knows. It's available right now everywhere. Amazon.com, Barnes & Nobles, Walmart. Link in the description box. Go and pick up your copy. Assuming you don't have yours already, those who have picked up a copy and are talking about buying copies for friends, thank you guys. I love you. I appreciate you. You don't understand. I can't put into words how happy that makes me. So there you go. All right. So things that you do want to know if you are long-term supporters. Right now on my Patreon page, I will reveal the top 10 horror movies that legitimately scared me. Just in time for Valentine's Day. Let's talk about horror movies. So if you want to check out that video, but you're not a patron, just go to patreon.com/E-Rant and pledge $1. That's it, $1. You're supporting me to continue being a content creator, and in return, you get bonus videos. You can't beat that with a wooden stick. And last but not least, what everybody wants to know, what's going to be my next honest review? A few requests have come for this, and they have grown exponentially since I released my Briscoe County Jr. video, and since I talked about a certain Amazon Prime series that is not getting as much promotion as I feel that it should get. So I will be talking about a show that I deeply love and that a lot of you seem to love as well, and that is the 1990 Zorro series from the Family Channel, which lasted 4 whole seasons and was massively epic. So look for that next month right here on my official YouTube channel. As per usual, guys, thank you so much for your ongoing support, because I could not do what I do without you.